Okay, so in this video, I wanted to share what I've learned about what you would call second order consequences and making decisions with more of a long-term mindset and not a short-term mindset. So, and I like to, obviously the analogy is play chess, not checkers. So I've learned this concept from a couple different mentors of mine, Charlie Morgan, Sam Ovens, and then also from a book I've been reading, Principles by Ray Dalio. And the whole point of it is the world simply, in most cases, the world rewards people who make decisions based on what's best for them long term. So like, and often it's like funny how it works. It's like the most pleasurable decision in the short term is usually the one that's the worst in the long term. And it's almost like a weird trick the world plays on you, right? Because give you an example, for example, if you're eating chocolate cake, that's like the most easy example is if you start eating chocolate cake, it tastes delicious, it feels amazing. And obviously it's delicious, but it's the worst thing for you compared to, if you're eating just bland chicken or healthy stuff like fruits and veggies. So that's one simple example. I wanted to share a couple examples in my life, one in business and one in personal. So to give you a more clear picture and just help you start to think this way, because obviously it's really important if you're running a business. One thing we tested back in July. So we tested a new list source just briefly for a couple weeks using AI instead of our usual list building team. And we found that the rate of booking meetings from the AI list dropped to about half of what we used to book with the manual list. But it was, less than half the price. So technically we could have cut a ton of costs by using the AI tool. However, long term, it would have killed us because it would have been just what's worse for our clients, right? And if we continually make decisions on cutting costs and not making decisions on what's best for our clients, then we're gonna just be screwed long term, right? Because obviously the short term decision of cutting costs, you feel that immediately. You're like, this is great. I have more money to more profit, but long term it's going to kill you. And if you think that way, and you always think that way of picking what's best for you short term instead of what's best long term, you're gonna be in a terrible place. So a second example I wanted to give was July. Also, it's now August, but in July and up until now, I've been working insanely hard, kind of pretty ridiculous hours right now. Just we're testing a new offer and stuff like that, and it's been pretty painful, right? I've been in front of my computer all day. I'm working 7 days a week, pretty much 80 hours a week right now. And it's tough to sit in front of the computer all day. And sometimes, and what I did recently was I picked up a bad habit. So I went down to the Publix downstairs and I got me a can of dip, like chewing tobacco, right? Something I used to do occasionally when I was younger in college. And just to help me get through, the day, I would put a dip in. And I did it for a couple weeks, and then I realized I was just this is nice long-term. I mean, nice short-term, right? It makes you you're making some cold calls, you put a dip in and you get a nice little buzz and make cold calls. But, I really thought about long-term. I started to have heart palpitations. I could just, it's just, and I knew that nicotine and the path this was going down, I was like, if I just keep doing this and keep doing this, eventually I'm just going to get totally addicted to this and it's going to be impossible to stop. So I just, took my can, filled it up with water, and just threw it away. So that's another thing, another example that just came to mind. But I hope this is making sense. But really start to think about your decisions, though. If you think on that, let's wind out a little bit and take both of those decisions down a longer path, right? Because if you really, really think long term, not only second order consequences, but third order consequences, fourth order consequences, fifth order consequences. Let's take the business example, right? Let's say instead of reverting back to our original way to build lists that is the best for the clients, we stuck with AI, right? We cut our costs, we make more profits for probably three months or so, but eventually clients would start to leave, and we would make less money. And then obviously like 6 months from now, it might like totally put us out of business, right? Just for that short-term like, decision to cut costs. Same goes with like reputation of business too. Like, you can cut corners and cut costs to like save money and stuff, or like whatever. But if your reputation's harmed in the process, it's not worth it, because it hurts you too much long term. To even just taking the moral argument out of it, just looking at totally logistical view, or just totally the objective view. It's going to hurt you long term if you make those types of decisions in business. Another thing is, let's take the dip example. Let's say I didn't decide to throw that can away, and long term I just kept doing it, and then 10 years, 20 years, 30 years later I have cancer. So like that kind of stuff is because of the dip. So like because of that, that kind of stuff you got to really think about. But yeah, just to recap, whatever is good for you short term and pleasurable for you short term in any area of your life pretty much is what's the wrong decision long term. And always think, little decisions, obviously, like what to eat for lunch, like if it's a one-off thing at a restaurant or something, like that's not, like you shouldn't like think on that too critically, I don't think, but in my opinion. But any sort of decision, especially if it's a repeat decision and it's an important one, think of the second order and third order and the fourth order and the fifth order consequences, especially if there's like big consequences to it. Because even if it seems great short term, it could screw you over long term. So that's all I got for today. Thanks for watching.